So Apple's September event is upon us. We did not see the iPhones and the Macs that a lot of people were hoping for. I was extremely hoping for the Macs to come, but it was pretty unlikely. We saw new iPads and Apple Watches, however, and Apple still managed to impress us. I like both of these new product lineups. They're amazing and they're really good updates to the iPads and the Apple Watches. But in this video, we're going to be focusing on the iPad Air 4 and my first impressions on how I think it's going to be. It packs a new design, display, internals, features, accessories, and so many more things. It's a complete overhaul. It's, what we saw on the iPad Pro mixed in with, a little cheaper of a price tag, cutting some things, throwing some extra things in, and it's definitely a product which you should keep on your horizon. And I'll be going over my first thoughts in this video. But for more awesome videos like this one, please subscribe down below. And without further ado, let's get on to the video. How about the new design on the iPad Air? So last year's iPad Air 3, as you can see, it was a traditional design we've seen in iPads for like almost 10 years now. It's a really used design, but the iPad Pro brought in a more bezel-less look, a more uniform black bezel around the borders, and it's a really nice look in general. It's much more boxy than last year's iPad Air 3. It's thinner, and it's got just a really nice design to it. I really like it. It's much thinner. It's a boxy look. You can actually put it up with no support, so it can stand up by itself, and I'm just a huge fan of boxy designs. I mean, with the iPhone 4, the 5, the SE, and what we are supposed to see with the iPhone 12 is a boxy design as well, and I'm all here for it. The new design also allows for the Apple Pencil 2, which docks on the side of this new iPad Air. It's like what we saw on the iPad Pro, and it's a great way to charge it, since the last Apple Pencil, the Apple Pencil 1, had to be plugged into the Lightning connector, which is just an awkward solution. And I'll talk about the Lightning connector and also which port the iPad Air uses later in this video. But I feel like the Apple Pencil 2 was just a much more complete product than the Apple Pencil 1, since it just looked better, it was the right size, it felt much better, it docked properly, there's a way to attach it to the iPad, and it was just a much better experience throughout. The design is pretty much recycled from the 2018 11-inch iPad Pro, and I say this because the back camera kind of layout is pretty much identical to it. You guys can see a resemblance clearly. And the only thing that it is missing is a flash, and there are a few different things that it is missing I'll talk about later as well. But that's how the new iPad Air gets its cheaper price. Since it's $200 cheaper than the iPad Pro, Apple needs to cut some corners and, take some things out that they had in the iPad Pro to get to that cheaper price, and one of the things is that flash. There will be no flash on the new iPad Air 4. And about the port situation, as I was saying, since you don't need to connect the Apple Pencil 1 to charge it with the Lightning connector anymore, it does use USB-C, which I really like that change. USB-C is much better. You can do more laptop things as well with USB-C, which is a great port. It's much more versatile as well compared to the Lightning connector. Aside from the design, the second largest improvement was the display. As you can see, it's much thinner with bezels on the top and the bottom. The side bezels are actually a bit thicker, but that's just to create a uniform look around the iPad, and I really like it. It's great. You shouldn't have too thin of bezels on iPads anyways, because if you're holding it, there should be some place to hold it. It's not like a phone where you don't hold the display, but in an iPad sense, you do that. The screen display is increased from 10.5 inches to 10.9 inches, and this is, again, made by increasing that bezel. So the actual form factor of the new iPad Air 4 is pretty much identical to the iPad Air 3. It's just that they decreased the size of the bezels on the top and the bottom and kind of made the sides uniform as well. I really like the look, it's a great look. It's got the right size of bezels, you can hold it properly, and it still looks really nice as well. However, there's one large feature that it lacks, and that's that Pro Motion display. So this has been on the iPad Pro since 2017, since the 10.5-inch iPad and the 12.9-inch got them. And it's something that I'd like to see for sure on the iPad Air 4, but we didn't get it. It's still a 60Hz display. It's got pretty much everything else except that main ProMotion display, and it's a big thing for me. But then you factor in that it's $200 cheaper, and aside from that, there's not many huge shortcomings aside from that 120Hz display. And the iPad Air 4 just makes a better value product, but that's just one thing to note. You won't be getting that high refresh rate display on the iPad Air 4. As I said previously in this video, guys, please subscribe down below. A subscriber makes a huge difference. I need all the support that I can get from you guys, so please subscribe. You can also go follow my Twitter and Instagram. I create behind-the-scenes content. I post live tech updates, my opinions, tech keynotes, and a lot of different stuff on there, so it's worth a follow. You can also go read my articles at the link medium.com/@247tech. I write awesome articles about the latest technologies, just like this new iPad Air 4. So what about the performance? This is a huge topic for the iPad Air, and we get a new A14 Bionic chip that we haven't seen in any Apple product before on this new iPad Air 4. So it's built on a 5nm processor compared to the 7nm processors they were using before on the A12 and A13 Bionic chips. This is used to create better efficient processors, more battery life, that type of stuff. But a lot of people are saying that this is a better processor than the A12Z on the 2020 iPad Pros. But let's debunk that theory. You know, I've seen this on Twitter and a lot of different places as well, that the A14 Bionic is insane and why does it have a better processor than the iPad Pro? That's not true. There's two sides to this argument, and I'll tell you my side and what I think about this. So the CPU on the A14 chip is 6 cores compared to 8 cores on the A12Z, which is higher, of course, 2 extra cores. And on the GPU, there's an even bigger increase. There's a 4-core GPU on the A14, but an 8-core GPU on the A12Z. The A12Z isn't a normal iPhone processor. The iPad Air A14 is probably going to be on the iPhone, so that's what it's built for. And the A12Z and the A12X are built for iPads. Since iPads are larger, it's got more thermal room, battery, all that stuff. It can, use a better processor, and that's what the A12Z is made for. The A14 is made for better efficiency, and that's what the 5nm processor is used for. But the A12Z is more about power. Power, it comes first, and battery life, all that stuff. It's important, but not as important as power, since the iPad Pro is meant for professionals who do maybe you do photo editing on it, you use Adobe Photoshop. That's what the iPad Pro is meant for, whereas the iPad Air isn't meant for those pro-level applications, but it is better for more efficiency products. And if you're doing just normal web browsing, Safari, maybe YouTube, that type of stuff, yes, the A14 Bionic will be better, but if you're stressing both of these, then that's where the A12Z Bionic chip will shine. Just a small thing that I'd like to mention in this, it's kind of weird that we got the A14 chip before the iPhones on the iPad. We saw this last, I think, with the A5 chip back in the day, like so long ago, 9 years ago. And we're seeing it again. It's kind of different. I thought the iPhones would come in this event if they did announce that A14 chip. I was watching the keynote. I saw the A14. I'm like, come on, the iPhone has to be coming out. How can they announce the A14 before the iPhone comes out? It doesn't make sense to me, but it's 2020. Apple keynotes are just as weird as the year that we're in right now. Let's talk about the accessories and the color options on this product. First of all, since it does have the same magnetic connections as the iPad Pro, you can use the Apple Pencil 2, as I said, and the Magic Keyboard. The Magic Keyboard is pretty much getting the same feel of a real keyboard and a real trackpad onto the iPad. It's pretty expensive at $300 to $350, depending on $300, my bad. On the iPad Air 4, it's a lot for a keyboard, but it does have a trackpad. It's got a USB-C port built in. It's got a floating design, which is really cool, and it's just a really good product. It's a really well-made product. It's a bit heavy, but I really like that keyboard. You can get both of these on the new iPad Air 4 since it pretty much has the same design, magnetic connections as the iPad Pro. Apple has different color options this year for sure. There's 3 normal color options that we've seen before and just normal aluminum finishes, and then there's 2 kind of special colors that they added in. So the normal colors are just a silver, space gray, and a rose gold. We've seen this time and time again from products, and it's just the normal colors. It's a gold, gray, white, pretty much. It's pretty transparent. There's 2 different colors. It's a green and a sky blue. So the green is not the same that we saw on the iPhone 11, It was not a minty green, it's not a midnight green as well. It's a very minute green, you could say. It's different. And then the sky blue is pretty much sky blue. It's just, it's a very light version of blue, and I like both of these colors, but I would probably go with the space gray since I just like that whole minimalist look. So there are 3 other new things that I wanted to mention on this new iPad Air 4. First of all, the Touch ID sensor is on the power button, not on, underneath the display or Face ID. None of that's there. It's on the power button, and it's a different placement. We haven't seen it before, but it's cool to get anyways. There's also no flash, as I did say in the cameras, which actually the iPad Air 3 did have, and the iPad Pros have had, but the Air 4 doesn't. I think they're just trying to make some separation between models, possibly, but it doesn't have a flash. The bezels are also a bit thicker than the 11-inch iPad Pro. This is why it's a 10.9-inch screen instead of an 11-inch screen, and it's something that I noticed. A lot of people haven't been talking about it, but it's a bit thicker. I can definitely see it on my side, but that's probably because I just have maybe I'm just looking for it, but you probably won't see the difference, but they are a bit thicker. The pricing is $599 to start off with for 64 gigabytes, and if you want 256, it's $750. To get the Apple Pencil 2, you have to shell out another $130, and the Magic Keyboard is an extra $300. So if you combine all of those up, that's $600 plus $440, $1,040 for the complete package on this new iPad Air 4. That's expensive. That's the thing. When you add up all these accessories together, it's becoming premium laptop territory. And this isn't even the iPad Pro, keep in mind. This is the iPad Air. And it's getting really expensive. The problem comes where the 2018 11-inch iPad Pro is sold on Apple's own website right now, refurbished for $550. That's cheaper than the iPad Air 4, and keep in mind it does have that A12X Bionic chip, which I did say is faster than the A14. It's got a ProMotion display, a flash on the back, Face ID, thinner bezels. It's just, it's an iPad Pro. They put the best of the best in that product, and it's only $550 if you're willing to go refurbished, of course. Refurbished products, especially from Apple, are pretty much like new. You just maybe won't get that unboxing experience. It might come in a refurbished box, but it's exactly the same thing, and that's where the debate comes, but I'll save that for another video. Comment down below if you do want that video. Here are my final thoughts. The iPad Air excites me. It's a completely different take on the iPad Air that we've never seen before, and I'm happy that we're getting the iPad Pro design into this. The lack of 120Hz is the one gripe that I have, but saving $200 worth of the iPad Pro, I'll take it. It's okay. It's a brand new product with different color choices. It's got a good blend of value and kind of niche features like that thin bezel, but it does have that A14 Bionic chip, so it's a good blend. I like this product for sure. The problem and the reason why I wouldn't say go pre-order right now is because of that $550 11-inch iPad Pro. I've done some study about it. I have a few thoughts about it. I don't want to spend too much time about it on this video. I'll probably save it for another video comparing both of them, but it's just that iPad Pro is kind of in the way since it has some of those extra features that this iPad Air doesn't, but then again, it is 2 years older. It's a refurbished product, which some people might not like. It doesn't have the same color options. So there are pros and cons to it. I'll save it for another video, but for now, the iPad Air 4 is an exciting product, and I'm here for it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe down below. I need all the help that I can get, and please subscribe to support my channel. I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.